Oh yeah. I'm back. Oh God, I love this show. Oh God, I love it. Oh, I missed it, man. I'm the only guy on vacation who's like, oh, I gotta get back to work. I get back to work. Did you see what happened while I was away? Did you see what happened, Royce Limbaugh? Oh, I got a heart attack. Oh no, I don't. I was just taking too many painkillers. Oh, come on. And then Karl Rove gets divorced. Oh, I'm gonna let him have it. I'm gonna come at him all in a second now. All right, I'm gonna start with that in a second. But you know what's happening today? All of a sudden, the Democratic Party no longer exists. It's gone. Dorgan, gone. Dodd, gone. Okay, calm down. That could be good news. It could be bad news. Likely a combination. I'm going to explain it all to you in a little bit. We got a lot of drama going on with terrorism and Yemen and Pakistan, of course. In fact, that the guy flying into Detroit, the underwear bomber, he did that while I was in flight. And I didn't know. So I'm on a 16-hour flight. I get off. I go to somebody's house. We have breakfast. I go to somebody else's house. I'm in the middle of Taiwan. They're like, oh, yeah, you heard about the undie bomber, right? I'm like, what the hell's the undie bomber? I'm like, no, I'm on top of the news. I don't think. And it turns out while I was in the air, somebody's trying to, explode their underwear, which is a unique way to go. I got a lot of thoughts on that, too. We're going to come to that in a little bit. And but let me just start on this quick note, and then I'll come back to it. Again, while I'm away, Anna and JR start a frickin' international incident. I go away one time, all of a sudden we got war with Bulgaria here. I go away, all of a sudden we got war with Australia. How the hell did that happen? We got more emails, angry emails from Australians. Uh-oh, I might have to do Australian accent on those emails. Okay. Oh, that's going to be brutal. And she started the war, and so did JR. It's about KFC. Is their ad racist? Oh, we're going to come back to that in the third hour. And the question is, do I engage in the war? Am I on JR and Anna's side? And we say, all right, you know what, Australia, here's what we got for you.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Not it, though, but this one, close. Australia, we're coming for you. We're coming. Or am I going to mediate? Am I going to be reasonable? Third hour. Hate to do it to you. We're going to bring in the experts. Third hour. Experts. JR and Anna. And Hammer and Tom Hank is here. Oh, General of the Felix Legion. I'll explain a little later in the program. Okay, everybody's having fun. Now, having said all that and all the good stuff that we're going to do in the world, let's get started. So I'm away, and my old friend Rush Limbaugh has a heart attack. Now, I'm reading this in Taiwan, and I think, no, he didn't. Okay, the minute I said, he had a heart, no, he didn't. Okay, now you might think, why not? Like, why am I skeptical? The minute I saw the headline, I was skeptical. I mean, he's a fat ass, so a heart attack in his 50s, he's 58 years old. It's not that unreasonable thing to have. I was like, I don't think so. He was on vacation in Hawaii, and all of a sudden he said, oh God, I got a sharp pain, right? And I thought, yeah, hillbilly heroin. Now, look, is it unfair? Of course. We don't have the fact. We weren't in his hotel room. We don't have the video of it. Okay, I'm keeping it real, okay? But he's on vacation alone in Hawaii, and all of a sudden he has sharp pain, right? But he told me in 2003 when he was doped up on hillbilly heroin, he went to rehab for 5 days. I'm sorry, 5 weeks, and got that straightened out. Oh, I know. You never had any problems again because, once you had that rehab, you were just A-okay. Never had to mention it again. Look, he might be fine, but he's still having trouble with that hearing. I mean, remember how much on hillbilly heroin he was on? He was taking hundreds of pills a day, okay? I mean, enough to kill an elephant. Okay, and that's why he lost his hearing. And his girlfriend says, oh, yeah, I don't normally talk to him on the phone. He usually texts me because he can't hear. So when he called me, I was in a bit of a panic, right? I said, is something going wrong? Now, why are you going to Hawaii without your girlfriend? Now, there could be a lot of different reasons. But my guess is, hillbilly heroin. Okay, look, I'm just speculation, okay? And then lo and behold, a couple days later, I pick up the newspaper, as they say, although, of course, that's not what happened. I clicked on the mouse on the internet to find out It turns out he didn't have a heart attack. Who could have seen that coming? It turns out his heart is totally fine. It wasn't that at all. He panicked over a bad trip. I mean, something else. I don't know. Could be anything. So it's still speculation, but the fact that it was not a heart attack at all and that his heart is totally fine and all of a sudden we got backpedal on that issue leads me to believe that my initial thoughts on it were probably quite accurate. Okay? Now, you do with that information whatever you like, and if you think I'm an unfair man for assuming that this drug addict, and that's what he is, and maybe he's recovering, maybe he's recovered, but he's a drug addict, that he might have had a bad trip and that's why he panicked, okay. If you think I'm a bad man, then I agree with you. I'm a bad man, but not nearly as bad as Rush. All right, Rush, take it easy, man. Only a couple of hundred at a time, all right? Now, by the way, now that we're on this, I'm going to say this for the third hour, but why not? So Rush Limbaugh's got a girlfriend. Did you notice that in the story? So he's like, I got a whole heart, right? And he calls his girlfriend. And there she is. You know, she's 33 years old. Her name is Catherine Rogers. She's a Florida party planner. She's been planning the party in Rush's pants, apparently. I'm a bad man! Okay. Look, girlfriend, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? He's 25 years older than you. He's Rush Limbaugh. I mean, even in the picture with his stupid hearing aid on and stuff, and it goes right into his brain, and he's smooching on your ass. Go plan a party somewhere else, man. I know I'm being totally unfair. Who knows? Maybe she's like the Republican girl of the world, and she thinks Rush Limbaugh's politics is awesome. So in which case, you know, I'm sure she enjoys that relationship. I'm just saying, you know, you seem like a fairly attractive, well put together 33-year-old woman in Florida. There's a lot of parties. That's all. Okay, but it's not my place to say. And the only reason I say it is because I'm a bad man. Okay, so now that's Rush. That's Rush and his girlfriend. So let's move on. I'm going to do Karl. So it turns out my old friend Karl Rove got divorced. Again. Now, this is second divorce. Now, Karl, wait. I thought you were about family values. What part of family values is getting divorced again? Okay, so I don't see how this, you know, makes too much sense. Look, give him credit, though. On his second marriage, he gave it a real, you know, college try. He was married for 24 years to his wife, Darby. Earlier, he'd been married to Valerie Wainwright, I should say, and that lasted a couple of years. That was back when he had met her in Houston in the Bush social circles. And his book's about to come out. It's called Courage and Consequence: My Life as a Conservative in the Fight. Well, there should be some consequence with your second divorce, my friend. And that consequence should be, you shut the fuck up about family values from now on. Okay, oh, no, gays can't get married. No. A guy who gets divorced twice doesn't get to tell me who gets to get married and who doesn't get married, who's destroying marriage and who's keeping marriage, the sanctity of marriage alive. Shush, www.shush.com, okay? As an old friend of mine once said, I think his name was Austin Powers, actually Dr. Evil, but nonetheless, okay? So I love that. You know, and as I was doing some research on Karl, and, you know, I was looking into his old dirty tricks, and of course in 2004 he ran the whole campaign, the Bush campaign, on family values and how gay marriage was terrible. I thought I saw an old quote in there, and I was quite right. Having looked back at the first time that Karl Rove had met George W. Bush, as The Guardian says, politically speaking, he fell in love. Here is Karl Rove's quote when he first met George Bush. About Bush, quote, huge amounts of charisma, swagger, cowboy boots, flight jacket, wonderful smile, just charisma. You know, wow. I haven't said a word, Karl. I haven't said a word. You know, look, now, back in 1994 when he was running Bush's campaign against Governor Richards, it's alleged that he did a push poll where he asked people in Texas, quote, would you be more or less likely to vote for Governor Richards if you knew her staff is dominated by lesbians? Okay, this guy's a Bad guy, man. He's been running on other people's sex lives for a long, long time. Then he's going to come at me with, oh, cowboy boots, flight jacket, delicious, fabulous. Oh, come on. Anyway, put all the fabulous stuff aside. You get divorced twice. You're done, Karl. You dare to talk about family values again. You think this was bad? Oh, I'm going to be all over you, man. You might like that. I don't know. But I'm going to be all over you. So that was interesting news that Karl Rove, Mr. Family Values, has gotten divorced again. All right, now finally, on the old news, before we get on to today's news, if my old friend Rick Warren was also in the news of the Saddleback Ranch, or as one of our listeners wrote on Twitter, now that it's broke, maybe it should be called a Brokeback Ranch. Come on, that was good. I liked it. I retweeted it. Okay. Apparently, he ran out of money. He says, okay, around Christmas time, he's like, damn it, I'm a little short $900,000. You know, conservatives amaze me, man. If this show was short $900,000, you know what kind of pain we'd be in? You know what kind of trouble we'd be in? Okay. And when the government is short on money, oh, they're goddamn spenders. That's what their problem is. You know, they spend and spend and spend. And when Rick Warren's out of money and he says, oh, please give me money, pours in. They're like, well, he's a good Christian. Obviously, he needs the money, so we step in. And they did. They were short $900,000. Rick Warren writes a letter saying, please, please, please send me money. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm broke. And they send in $2.4 million. $2.4 million over a couple of days. He says nobody's sending over $100. I don't believe him. But I believe in generally the principle that they probably, a lot of smaller checks, smaller donors. I believe that. Nobody sent a check over $100. I don't believe that. But anyway, overall, I'm with him. So what he did, by the way, he's flaunting it. He had 24 different workers come out with $100,000 checks. And he's like, na 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 na. Well, look at what happened now. Oh, I raised $24 million. I'm sorry, $2.4 million. So now they're back in business. Now, look, I like making fun of him because, you know, God should have given him a heads up on this and been like, hey, you know what? You're going to run out of money. And I like making fun of them because they go crazy about deficit spending, and then here they were not making money or in dire need of money because they couldn't balance their budget. Having said that, look, those people want to send him the money. That's their God-given right. Because, one, he claims that this is going to go towards the church's food pantry, homeless ministry, counseling, and support groups. Now, I believe that at least some of that money will go in that direction. So that's not such a bad thing. Now, of course, some of that money will go towards supporting his own fat ass, along with his ample staff, along with whatever else he's doing to market himself and his books. And, of course, it'll go towards campaigns against gay marriage, et cetera, et cetera. I get that. But the people donating know that. They're also against gay marriage, et cetera. And they're in the business of supporting Rick Warren's fat ass. So, you know, buyer beware. I think that that's a perfectly normal donation. He asked for money. He got it. You know, credit to him. And people giving to him obviously didn't mind. So in the end, I really have no problem with it. And God bless him for being able to raise that kind of money that quickly. And his followers, they must really believe in him. Now, whether that's warranted, that's a different question. But they do, and they came through for him. So, all right, there you go. Hallelujah. Christmas miracle. All right, so that's your old news. When we come back, new news, including Michael Steele. Ah, the gift that keeps on giving. All right, Young Turks. All right, back on the Young Turks. Let's go to my old friend Michael Steele. He's been in the news a lot lately, and I want to give him a chance to air his opinions because that's usually nothing but a good favor to us. First off, he's got a new book coming out. It's called 12-Step Program for Defeating the Obama Agenda. Right now, 12-step plan. Oh, can't wait, Michael. Can't wait. So he goes on Sean Hannity's radio program first, and Hannity asks him, hey, you think we're going to win back the House? And he says, no. Now, as the head of the RNC, that's probably not the way to go. That might cause a number of problems within your party. Of course, when they go to the Republicans in the House and ask their leadership, hey, do you think you're going to win back the House? They say, of course we're going to win back. Now, are they? No. Is Michael Steele actually right? Yes. Okay. Because they're in a huge, huge deficit. Even if they do great, which they might, it'd still be very, very hard-pressed to win back the House. I don't think they're going to. But it's probably not Michael Steele's place to say, hey, you know what, my party's going to lose this time around. So at least clarify it by saying, hey, we're going to pick up a lot of seats, we're going to kick ass, we'll see if, we can get over the threshold of getting the majority back, etc. But, of course, he doesn't do that because he's just unsavvy. I don't know, that's one way of putting it, because he keeps saying things that he's got to realize are going to get him in trouble, but he doesn't realize it. And look, the Republicans in the House, first of all, some of them are just flat out calling him, now this is an anonymous quote, but it is a quote, they're calling him stupid, okay, that doesn't help. And then they say that, look, when he says that, it's going to lead to follow-up questions for every Republican that goes on television. Do you agree or disagree with Michael Steele that you guys are going to lose? And then it's demoralizing to the party. And it doesn't help them to recruit new candidates. It doesn't help them to raise money. And then all of a sudden, today I see in The Hill, obviously a magazine that covers Capitol Hill, a hatchet in Steele's back. A long story about how, hey, the RNC doesn't have that much money. And in fact, they've been losing money under Michael Steele. Now, that didn't get leaked on it by accident to The Hill. It got leaked by people who are tired of Michael Steele and who think he's doing a clown-ass job. So they're like, hey, you know what? Why don't we mention the fact that in the beginning of the year we had $22 million, and now we only have $9 million. Now, Michael Steele will say, hey, wait a minute, I spent a lot of that money on elections, and we won the governorship in New Jersey and Virginia. Now, they did, and look, he was the head of the RNC, so he gets some credit, no question about that. Was it money well spent? That's another, question, because they're so low on money. Now, to give you an example, the DNC has $13 million, and you might say, hey, wait a minute now, $9 million, $13 million, that's not that much of a difference. But you have to understand the DNC is in so much better shape, and you have to see what happened this year. When the DNC started the year, they had spent so much money on the elections in 2008, and they won, so it was money well spent, that they only had $5.6 million left, but they had a debt of $5 million. So in essence, the DNC had zero. So over the year, they made $13 million, right? Whereas the RNC had $22 million and went down to $9 million. First of all, they shouldn't have had $22 million left sitting in the bank in the first place at the beginning of 2009. That means they didn't do a good job of allocating money for the elections in 2008. And then, historically speaking, in the other midterm elections, the RNC has had about $30 million at this point instead of $9 million. So now then they get into, is Michael Steele spending the money in the wrong places? He way overpays apparently for consultants, whereas the DNC does a lot of that in-house. For example, they do mailers to try to get contributions in. The RNC spent $35 million in mailers for about the same amount of mailers. The DNC only spent $11 million. So that's a $24 million difference right there. So they're questioning his competence in terms of finances and in terms of leadership at the RNC. And I think those are fair questions. And if I was Michael Steele, I wouldn't be going around talking about, oh yeah, these Republicans, they suck and they're not going to win. In his book, he goes after George H.W. Bush for raising taxes. And he says, oh, Reagan would have never done that, except, of course, Reagan did raise taxes 11 times. That's not mentioned in the book. And then he goes after George W. Bush for, not sticking to principles enough. Apparently, George Bush was too much of a left-winger, okay? But this isn't going to make you a lot of friends. So I think he's a little bit on borrowed time here. Now, he's got all this trouble. But then, of course, he's Michael Steele. He's going to make it worse, okay? So the last two are kind of funny. The first one's, an important message. So let's start with that. Clip number 5, he's going to talk about health care reform. Let's go to that.
To get something, but my hope is...
But once they have something, that is the proverbial camel's nose under the tent.
It's the nose under the tent, and then the charge of Mitch McConnell and John Boehner and myself, our governors around the country, is we will work night and day to elect congressmen and senators to undo it, because this is not what America needs right now.
All right. Well, so I told you that one was serious, and that one is not. He's not clowning around. That's what a lot of Republicans say. And so you know, if you do go with them, healthcare reform. Yeah, we got it. We got it. Doesn't start till 2014, and they're going to look to repeal it in 2010 and 2012. So just so you know what direction they're going. Now let's have fun. Clip number 6. He's going to, of course, Michael Steele is going to say something he shouldn't say. Let's watch. Clip number 6.
There are those that are saying that for the Republican Party to be successful, they've got to, quote, be more moderate.
No, that's what
you hear.
That's what's gotten us into trouble when we walked away from principle. Our platform is one of the best political documents that's been written in the last 25 years. Honest engine on that.
No, you didn't, Michael. You didn't just say honest engine. You didn't do that, did you? I was like, look, you know what? I'm going to go on air on this thing. Let me check just to be absolutely sure, because my understanding is that's offensive, right? So I looked it up in the dictionary. They say the term for Native Americans, almost always offensive. Of course, of course. Now the thing is, first of all, I know you're a minority, so you have the immunity idol to some degree, Michael. I get that, right? But you're not Native American. And even if you were Native American, I don't think I'd go around saying Injun, right? And look, you know, we joked around about race before? Come on. Oh, yeah, we do it all the time, right? Remember when I used to say Oriental or Chinaman? Now, the reason I say it, or said it back in the day, is because it's funny that anybody would say that. I mean, it's so old school stereotypes. It's ridiculous. That's why it's funny, right? Now, in a serious setting, a politician cannot say Chinaman. That's crazy, okay? And he cannot say Injun. And if you're the head of the RNC, you can't do that. You can't be like, hey, Sean, let me tell you something. I'm an honest Injun. I want to put Michael Steele aside and be like, look, do you understand who you are? Do you understand what your position is? Head of the RNC, honest Injun. All right, look, but the brother's kicking it. What can I do? Now, that's not me talking. That's, of course, Michael Steele talking, clip number 3.
You know, you're 1 year into a 2-year term. A lot of people thought that you'd be toast by now.
Of course.
What happened?
Well, brother's still here, kicking. You know?
Brother's still here.
Brother's still here.
Yeah. All right.
What am I going to do with this guy, man? What am I going to do with him? He amuses me to no end. All right. Now you know. All right. Now let's move on to serious issues here. We're going to have the joining of the bills in the House and the Senate, of course, on health care reform. And we thought we were going to go to conference, but it turns out that the Democrats have decided to play ping pong instead. That's an informal term for what they're doing. Instead of going to conference and bringing in the House members and the Senate members, et cetera, what they're going to do is the House is going to just take the Senate version and amend it and send it back to the Senate, okay? So, and of course, there's going to be a conversation about how to amend it. There's going to be negotiations. So as I look at the process, it appears to be fairly similar to what they would do in conference anyway. Now, some Republicans are complaining, hey, wait a minute now, that leaves out us Republicans. I got news for you. You were going to get left out either way, okay? None of you voted for it in the House or the Senate. So even if you went to conference, they were going to be like, all right, yeah, sit over there and shut your mouth, right? In fact, it'd be crazy to listen to the Republicans who didn't give it a single vote and will have promised that they will never give it a single vote. And as you just saw from Michael Steele, have promised that they will repeal it the first chance they get. So I don't think that's much of an issue. Now, is it illegal or unethical or whatever it might be against the laws and regulations of the Congress? Well, that would be very relevant, and it's not. It's perfectly acceptable to do it this way. There's nothing against the rules and regulations of doing it this way. Have they done it this way before? Yes, the House has done it on many occasions. Now, Democrats have done it recently a lot more than Republicans. And if you don't like it and you think, no, the proper path is going to conference, and there could be an argument made for that, okay, then the Democrats are more guilty than the Republicans. Because now, have the Republicans played quote-unquote ping pong? I'm amused by that terminology, so I keep using it. Have they played ping pong before when they were in charge? Of course, but not as much as Democrats. 3 major bills that they did it on, including the Homeland Security bill, but the Democrats have done it more. Now, as I said, I looked to see if it made a substantive difference in this case, and I don't see it. Where it affects it substantively is that it leaves the Senate version as obviously much, much more relevant, because that's the base they're going off of. And the House gets to amend it a little bit if the Senate will agree, but that's about it. Now, Obama said he's going to roll up his sleeves and get into the middle of these negotiations, and he's going to, finally help to get this package through. And he's been bragging about this. He bragged about it before I went on break. He's, again, today the White House is saying, oh, I'll tell you, we're rolling up the sleeves. We're getting in there. And what's the thing that he decided to do when he rolled up his sleeves? Of course, he insisted that it be the Senate version. Now, there's a legitimate reason for that. He's saying, look, we barely got 60 votes in the Senate. We can't afford to lose any votes there, so it's got to be closer to the Senate version. That's legitimate. On the other hand, the Senate version is much weaker, much friendlier to corporate America. So when Obama finally rolled up his sleeves, when you look at the quote-unquote substance behind it, he rolled up his sleeves to push legislation that's more corporate friendly and less reform. So, if that's how you're going to help out, I'm not sure we needed that kind of help. But this thing's a steamroller. I mean, I gave up on it, a couple of weeks ago. And there's some people that are still fighting, God bless their hearts, but, there's the articles give lip service to, and, some Democrats in the House that were pushing for the government-run plan still have that on the table, but it's not clear if that's going to happen. Okay. It's not on the table. It's not going to happen. No. That issue is 100% settled. Now, the question, of course, is what are the House Democrats going to get in return? Because they got to give them something. The Senate has to give them something. They can't just be like, just a rubber stamp what the Senate came up with. So my guess all along was this is where the unions are going to use their power and say, hey, listen, we can't have this excise tax because that affects the really good health care packages that the union members have. And that the way to pay for it is not through that excise tax, but by taxing the wealthiest 1% of Americans, which is the House version. Now, I read in the articles today that even that might get compromised, that they might do an excise tax, but that doesn't cover as much people, so that covers the richer plans. And guess which side Obama's on? Shockingly enough, he's on the side of the excise tax and not taxing the richest 1%. Weird, huh? Because I thought he ran as a progressive for real change. That's strange. Again, he came out on the right-wing side there. Weird. Okay, now, look, I talked about this a little bit before I went away. If I'm the union guys and they do the excise tax on you, I mean, you're crazy. I'd walk away. Then the union guys, by spending so much time, energy, and so much money on the Obama team and on the Democrats, what do they get? They got nothing. They got no card check, and that was their number one issue. That directly relates to the unions. They got no public option, which they fought very hard for. They were one of the few groups that did fight hard for it. And if they get the excise tax on their health care plans, and that's how it gets paid for health care, they got hosed. I can't imagine how they'd get hosed even more. If they elected, how I say it, a lot of people say, well, look, as much as you don't like Obama, if you got Republicans, you'd be in much worse shape. And that is true 99% of the time. But for the unions, I'm not sure it's true. I'm not sure how much more they could have gotten hosed. So I'd be surprised if they took that. Okay, there's got to be at least a decent compromise on that. That's not my issue. That's their issue, right? But if they don't get something out of there, if I was them, I wouldn't support the Democrats in the next election. It doesn't make any political sense. And there's got to be a price to pay if you get screwed that hard. But hey, look, but on the other hand, you got to give the Obama a little bit of credit there, to some degree standing up to special interests, right? Now, I'd love it if it was special interests that were, corporate America that's been screwing us over. And the unions are in pretty bad shape as it is. It's not like they need to get hammered anymore. But, that's the thing. Look, if the unions were being unreasonable and Obama stood up to them, I'd be like, hell yeah, okay, I'm in, okay? Because the unions aren't my uncle, right? On the other hand, it's when he stands up to them when they're not being unreasonable, and the excise tax has a lot of problems, which I've talked a lot about before. It's not a black and white issue. It's not clear cut, but it does have a lot of downsides. well, then it seems like Obama's doing what he always does, which is to the Washington media establishment. Hey, aren't I a good guy? Look at me. I kicked a union's ass. I didn't listen to the Democrats. I didn't listen to the progressives. I didn't listen to the liberals. Aren't I so centrist? Oh, please, please, please like me, media. Please, Washington establishment, say I'm okay, that I'm a swell guy. Obama is a natural politician. I'm going to hammer this home, okay? He's very good at being a politician, but as a politician, he always moves to the center of whatever field he's in. So if he's running in a Democratic primary, he's going to be, as progressive a guy as you can find, generally speaking, in the center. Not as progressive as you can find. He won't be on the Kucinich end, but he'll be right in the center of that. When he goes to general elections, he'll be in the center. And in this case, in 2008, Americans were desperate for change. So Obama was like, change, change, change. When he goes to Washington, what's he going to do? He's going to move to the center of Washington. And Washington, D.C.'s political center is nowhere near the political center of the country. It's way to the right of it, okay? So Obama's just sitting perfectly in the middle of Washington, D.C. establishment conventional wisdom. Now, is that going to help him in the long run in elections? I don't think so, okay? I don't think it's going to help his party. I don't think it's going to help him when he disillusions all the people who voted for him. But if you want to move him off that, as I've said before and I'll say again, you have to attack him from the left because right now he is way too far to the right. Now, when we're going to get into financial reform very soon, and we're going to tackle it in today's show because Chris Dodd's retirement is very relevant to financial reform. On that issue, again, Obama way to the right. And progressives have to draw the line somewhere. If they don't draw it on financial reform, they're crazy. All right, let's come back. Young Turks.
Dreams have remained and they've turned around. Who would have thought they'd lead you?
Well, the Young Turks, I am your host, Cenk Uygur. J.R. Jackson producing, Jesus Godoy directing. We got a great hour ahead for you guys. First, we're going to start talking about terrorism in Yemen, Obama's reaction, and then, more amusingly, the Republican reaction. All right, first, Obama came out today and said that the U.S. agencies have failed in stopping the Nigerian Undie bomber. I love that name. To me, I think, well, that's fairly obvious, okay, because he got on the plane, and thank God that bomb didn't work. But did they fail in stopping him? Of course they failed. So it's a bit obvious to state that, but he came out in very strong terms, very harsh terms, and so that leads you to believe that, Obama, once again, is playing the politics of it fairly well, right? Because he's got to seem like and one of the headlines said, Obama furious at the intelligence agencies. Oh, that's a perfect headline for him. But that's the thing with these media guys, right? They just love sucking up the power. If I was them, I wouldn't write that headline. I mean, that's what he wants you to write. So he comes out with tough words like, this is unacceptable, etc. I mean, what was he going to do? Come out and say, it's fairly acceptable, it happens. What can you do? Every once in a while we let one slip by. He had it in his underwear. What we're going to do, check his nutsack? Okay. No, of course he's not going to say that. He's going to say that it's unacceptable, and he's incredibly angry about it. So, now look, should he be held responsible? Should someone get fired over it? And those are separate questions. Now, as far as a president being responsible for making sure the intelligence agencies coordinate better, ultimately, yes, he is responsible for it. He says he's on top of it now and that he's going to do a better job at it. And if he does, that's the most important part, okay? And you know what? He's been in office for nearly a year now. And if you want to hold him responsible for not doing it earlier, that's fair, okay? Because, look, the guy, number one, as now everybody has heard, his father came in and said, I'm worried about him. Jon Stewart had a great line. His father, it turns out, is a Nigerian banker. And for the first time, we should have listened to the Nigerian banker when he sent the email, right? So anyway, and so that's kind of obvious, right? That puts an enormous red flag when your dad turns you in. But the other red flags, he pays for a one-way ticket. I mean, how stupid is Al-Qaeda? That's an enormous red flag I can't believe he got on the plane. He paid $3,000 to go to Detroit in the middle of the winter, as Jon Stewart pointed out, without a jacket. Okay, now he doesn't have any bags. Now look, can't tell, does he have a jacket, does he not? They're not in the business of checking that. But you don't have any bags and you got a one-way ticket. That's exactly how Richard Reed did it, the shoe bomber. And, the intelligence agencies already had your name. That's a pretty big failure. Now, the conservative reaction is, as we're going to show you in a little bit, put all Muslims on the watch list. There's 1 billion Muslims in the world. No. Put the people that should be on the watch list on the watch list. And, it's easy to say, and are there going to be mistakes? Yes, okay? But this seems like, in the end, it's like, at the same time, the media is like pretending as if this is the only guy that was possibly on the watch list. And they took the list, and the guy's name's the only one on the list, and they're like, Abdul Muttalib. That's all right, you can go on anyway. No, the list has, hundreds, thousands of names on it, the terrorist watch list, and apparently he didn't make it on to the list in time. Now that's a failure, and so Obama's got to get on top of fixing that. Now, should somebody be fired over that? Look, the person I would look to is who's supposed to coordinate between different intelligence agencies, okay? And if they are failing at that, well, okay, then you should look into whether that person should be replaced. Should you just automatically fire someone at the top? And since the right-wingers are screaming for Napolitano's head, should you just automatically fire her? Of course not. That would be absurd, okay? Now, if it is ultimately Napolitano's responsibility and she didn't do it right and it's not her first mistake, then okay, then we got an issue. But as I read it, that's not how I see it right now. No one's laid out a compelling case that this is definitively Napolitano's territory, coordinating between the different intelligence agencies so that guy's name could have made it onto the list quicker, right? But, and no one's shown me that this is her second mistake, right? Now, if this is a large enough mistake that it could have been her, and if it's definitely her responsibility, that on a first mistake she could get fired. You can make a case for that, okay? That's an interesting argument to have. Right now, I'm not convinced that she should go, okay? But I am convinced that they got to do a better job of getting the right people on those terrorist watch lists. Okay, so that's Obama's reaction today. And the other reaction, by the way, which is very important, is we're bombing the living crap out of northern Pakistan, and we're pressuring the government of Yemen. Of course, this plot is linked back to Yemen from a couple of al-Qaeda guys that apparently we released from Guantanamo. And we're pressuring the government of Yemen to get on these al-Qaeda guys, and now they've done several different raids. They captured 3 more al-Qaeda militants today. They captured a couple of militants a couple of days ago, and we had closed our embassy in Yemen. Now we've reopened it. Yemen was very embarrassed that we and Britain had closed our embassies, saying, no, they're perfectly safe. But that was a way of us pressuring the government to get on al-Qaeda. And now they're doing that to some degree, and apparently they've injured one of the main al-Qaeda guys in Yemen as well. So now pressure is being exerted. Now the reason we're bombing northern Pakistan is because, of course, the story that also happened last week where we lost a number of CIA agents and apparently 2 Blackwater guys in a suicide bombing in Afghanistan. A Jordanian man convinced the CIA that he had contact with Ayman al-Zawahiri, al-Qaeda's number 2 guy. He was considered a great source. They brought him in. They didn't check him, and he blew himself up and killed all those people, right? Now, another question that was raised from that is, hey, wait a minute. What are the Blackwater guys doing at a top-level debriefing of what they thought was a very important source with information on al-Qaeda's number 2 guy? We had been told that Blackwater was not part of the CIA operations anymore, to which I say, come on. Of course they are. Of course they didn't take him out. The Nation, Jeremy Scahill, as usual, had a great write-up on that a couple of weeks ago. The Blackwater guys, one, are giving the coordinates for the Predator strikes and the drone strikes. So they're as deep into this as anyone can possibly be. They have the most forward operating base in Afghanistan. It's more forward operating, meaning in more of enemy territory, than even our military bases, and they provide security for the CIA. Do you understand how absurd that is? The CIA cannot do any projects without involving Blackwater because Blackwater is providing the security. Look, that's insane. We have a private corporation guarding the CIA. They're the frickin' CIA. They should be able to guard themselves. If they can't, somebody should get fired over that. It's madness, man. And now, since 2 of the Blackwater guys died in this bombing, we have, obvious proof that they're in the very top level meetings of the CIA and very much operationally involved. And by the way, now Blackwater, exactly as predicted on this show, is beginning to work for other governments. We created a private army, and they're very lethal. They're good at what they do, which is killing people. And now they're for hire. It's madness. It's absolutely crazy. And Obama's continuing with this, although he said they got rid of him at the State Department, at the Defense Department, and at the CIA. They didn't. Look at that. Obama didn't tell the truth on that one. Huh. That's kind of weird. And it turns out he continued a right-wing policy of hiring Blackwater. Huh. I thought we were going to get change. That's kind of interesting. All right, now, one more substantive thing before we get to the idiots on the right. The U.S. intelligence is saying that up to 20% of the released Guantanamo detainees are now back in action fighting against us. Okay. Earlier, they thought that number was at 14%, which is still pretty bad. But now they think it's as high as 20% back in action fighting against us. Now, we say back in action, but we don't know if those guys were originally terrorists in the first place. There is some chances, McClatchy newspapers reported in a long investigative piece, that a lot of those guys got turned into terrorists at Guantanamo because they were captured and they weren't the right guys, and then they spent 5 or 6 years in Guantanamo, and all of a sudden, they're like, yeah, I'm not sure I like the United States of America. I think I'd like to fight against them. Now, what drives me crazy about that is that's a good and fair point, an interesting point, and one we should keep in mind in how we balance the rights of the people in Guantanamo, whether we should release them, et cetera. Those are fair and legitimate questions, right? What doesn't get mentioned in these stories, and what drives me crazy is, you know who released those guys? George W. Bush and Dick Cheney. They make it seem as if Obama released them. Obama didn't release them. Bush did. So shouldn't you be mad at Bush? Instead, they're like, oh, yeah, Obama wants to close Guantanamo. But wait a minute. Bush released 500 of those guys, and now 100 of them apparently are fighting against us, and 2 of them were the masterminds behind this Nigerian bomb. I don't know. It's like, I read the story twice just to make sure, and there's a couple of stories on this. It's like, am I missing it? Well, how is this Obama's fault? It drives me crazy. All right. You know what? We got a great guest coming up on how badly the Obama administration is screwing up the loan program and toxic acid program. Let's do that, and then I'll come back to the right-wing idiots and their response to terrorism, and we'll talk about Dodd and Dorgan as well, them stepping down. All right, Young Turks.